everyone. Welcome, Jyoti Burrett. She's a former Indian national player, and she's currently also doing multiple other things in the clubs. And welcome, Jyoti. Thank you so much. World Cup is going on. The Women's World Cup is going on, and we're very, very happy to have you us. I can't tell you कि मैं देख रही हूँ यहाँ पे वेटिंग रूम में कितनी सारी लड़कियां भाग भाग के ज्वाइन करने की कोशिश कर रही हैं ये वेबिनार. So definitely there's a lot of love and excitement वहाँ पे. So thank you so much for joining us. And हम चाहेंगे कि आज you're okay, we'll keep it Hindi, English both, because we have a lot of girls and young women with us also. So we'll keep it in both languages. And my name is Nida and I'm from Sequin and I'm in conversation with Jyoti today. एंड आज का हमारा टॉपिक है नर्चरिंग विमेन्स टैलेंट इन फुटबॉल इन इंडिया. तो फुटबॉल के नेतृत्व को, उसकी स्किल को किस तरीके से हम डेवलप कर सकते हैं लड़कियों और औरतों में इंडिया में. सो वेलकम ज्योति. एंड आई एम श्योर यू ऑल्सो मस्ट हैव कम फ्रॉम प्रैक्टिस. आई एम श्योर बहुत सारे हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स भी प्रैक्टिस से भाग के आए होंगे अभी. सो ज्योति, आई थिंक जस्ट टू स्टार्ट ऑफ फुटबॉल एंड वर्ल्ड कप के फीवर में एंड मैडनेस में थोड़ा मैं आपसे जानना चाहूंगी, हाउ डिड द जर्नी स्टार्ट फॉर यू? व्हेन डिड यू स्टार्ट प्लेइंग फुटबॉल?
फर्स्टली निदा, थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी. एंड मैं सबको हेलो बोलना चाहती हूँ जो जिसने लॉग इन किया है अभी एंड इज सिटिंग हियर विद अस. थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग दिस एंड इट मीन्स अ लॉट. फुटबॉल मेरे लिए काफ़ी लेट स्टार्ट हुआ है. आई नो बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि बचपन में स्टार्ट करना चाहिए और फिर ही आप कहीं पहुंच पाओगे, बट मैं एक क्लासिक एग्जांपल हूँ जो मुझे बचपन में समझ में नहीं आया कि मैं क्या करना चाहती हूँ. तो मैंने हर चीज ट्राई किया और जब मैं 19 तब मैंने उस टाइम फुटबॉल वर्ल्ड कप चल रही थी मेंस की 2002. एंड तो I mean, at that time मैंने देखा था and I was very like amazed at the game and कितना मजा आ रहा था लोगों को और देखने में मुझे बहुत I was very interested. And वहाँ पे मुझे I had an idol that I was watching from the Italian national team. And उसके बाद I mean, मैंने अपने गार्डन में यहाँ वहाँ अपने बॉल के साथ थोड़ा खेल लिया. मुझे कोई उम्मीद नहीं थी कि मैं कहीं खेलूंगी, कि प्रोफेशनल खेलूंगी, कंपेटिटिव खेलूंगी. बस मुझे खेलना था मजे के लिए और वो ही रहा मेरे लिए और वो भी है. आई ओनली प्ले फॉर बिकॉज मुझे बहुत प्यार है गेम से. अब मैं 34 इयर्स की हूँ, मैं अभी भी खेल रही हूँ, अभी भी प्रैक्टिस से आई हूँ. बट मेरी जर्नी, I was about when I really first played my first match, I was 19 years old.
And what have been some of the big, you have went from a youth player to now you've been a professional player. You've represented India at the national level in the women's team. उस पूरी journey में what have been some major big moments in your sort of professional journey? What have been some really big moments for you?
First big moment was I had never played a match. All I knew about football is कि ball अपने साथ I was playing juggling. So my first real match was for Delhi State. और एकदम से मैं I was on a field with 10 और player और मुझे उनके साथ खेलना था. मैं अकेले नहीं खेल रही थी अब. So that was my first big moment कि my first match I played for Delhi State senior because मैं already 19 से ऊपर हो गई थी. तो फिर जूनियर तो मेरा चला ही गया था. So फिर उसके बाद वहाँ पे जब स्पॉटर्स ने मुझे स्पॉट किया और बोला कि आप इंडिया कैंप के लिए आओ, तो मेरे दिमाग से ऊपर आई कुडंट अंडरस्टैंड कि ये क्या हो गया मेरे साथ. और मैंने 2 बार तो मैंने बोल दिया कि मुझसे नहीं होएगा because I was not confident enough कि I said what am I going to do there? I don't even, I mean, it's just not the path that I thought कि I'll go down. And then third time I remember when they called me, I was like अब तो मुझे जाना पड़ेगा. I went to camp and for me it was very competitive because football for me was always fun. मेरे लिए मजे की बात थी, मैं खेलने जा रही हूँ and एकदम से फुटबॉल in a India camp atmosphere was like so competitive. सब try कर रहे थे, सबको last 20 में पहुंचना था, और एकदम से I was very मैं कहाँ पहुंच गई हूँ. So these were big moments for me, and of course wearing the Indian jersey for the first time, playing for your country is a different feeling. Of course, I mean, you can't. I still enjoy playing for club and state and all, but that is a different feeling.
So, I mean, it sounds, and it's really wonderful that there is also this movement of football, and it's slowly developing. But tell me, I'm sure बहुत सी लड़कियां भी मानेंगी, and our coaches also who've joined us, that there must have been many roadblocks, many challenges along the way. What were some of those challenges, and how did you kind of deal with those, or move on from those?
So I think when I started playing, I did not know a single girls club in Delhi. मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि यहाँ पे girls खेलते हैं competitively. I had no clue. And coming to Marta speaking, Marta retired right now from the Brazilian team, and she was saying that when she started playing, she had no female idols. वहाँ पे she never saw women play, and I resonate with that so much because I never saw women play. We never saw women play. So it was such an alien concept that there are women playing, and they're playing competitively. So that was the first hurdle, finding women. कहाँ हैं लड़कियां जो खेल रही हैं, उनके साथ मुझे खेलना है. That was the first hurdle. And then once I found that, after much searching and talking to people, finding someone who can guide us, a coach. Otherwise, then you're just playing recreationally, because then you're not getting any direction. So formal coaching is important. So a good coach, not just someone who's going to say कि ball के साथ भागो, ball को मारो. So a coach who can really give you direction, and that was lacking when I started. Completely. Football खेल रहे हो तो time waste कर रहे हो आप. या आप तो 19 years के हो गए हो, अब क्या करोगे आगे जाके? I mean, कितना भी आगे चले जाओगे, और things like that, that you keep hearing about. Football में तो पैसा नहीं है, तो आप खेल क्यों रहे हो? ये तो हम सुनते आए हैं, and अभी भी यही बात सुन रहे हैं. So ये तो आएंगे, and until sport becomes a major career path or option in this country, I mean, it will continue to be like this, and you will hear these voices. So, but a few things have changed. I feel now there are clubs, there are academies where you can go and play. There are good coaches that you can play with. There is the internet. You can literally Google खोल के आप देख सकते हो कि girls clubs in Delhi. तब तो वो भी नहीं था. I didn't even try to Google something like this. There was nothing, no information. So information is much better now. You can find what you're looking for. I think that's the biggest change that's happened.
Wonderful. But tell me, how important is support, and just, I mean, in this scenario, jab clubs bhi nahi mil rahe, you don't know, the coaching levels, you don't have that. I'm sure you didn't have that many female or women coaches at that time, and who were also good coaches, like you said, the difference. So what was the support that, where were you able to find support,
I think number one is family. That is the place where you're going to go back home every day, and you're going to get a chance to talk about your day. I want to play football, or today I played football and I did this, I did that. So I think the first layer of support starts with your family in your home. And if your parents and your siblings can give you that, that is the ultimate base, right? So if your parents are going to keep questioning कि आप क्यों खेल रहे हो और आप time waste कर रहे हो, then already like such a huge backing is removed, right? Apart from that, you need a circle of people who are like-minded. So girls who are like you and they enjoy the sport and they are also coming to train. That's just friends. So you're also going to play, but you're also going to because at the end of the day, football is a team sport. आपको साथ में खेलना है, आपको you have to enjoy it, and you have to every day you're going, आप आ रहे हो, अच्छा मैं अभी आ रही हूँ, and then there's some sort of it is a social game. Training is social. So having that group of friends
Yeah.
who you look forward to going and playing with, because on field and off field are so closely related.
Yeah.
You know, your chemistry with your friends on the field will totally be apparent.
Yeah.
And then the third layer is, of course, good guidance, good coaches. You don't want coaches who are going to just ruin the love for your sport before it even starts. Like, people are just like, कैसे खेल रहे हो, आप छोड़ दो, आप जाके आप घर पे रोटी बनाओ, आप यहाँ पे time waste कर रहे हो. So like, if your coaches are not going to give you that time to make errors
Yeah.
and that space and that patience, so then again it's a roadblock. So, and I can imagine there are enough girls in this country who have all three roadblocks,
Yeah.
and they've still made it. Like, so no support from the family, no group of people in their cities where they are going to meet and play with, and coaches who are like just putting you down all the time, and these girls have still made it. So
Yeah.
that's like next level coming out against the odds. But if you have any of these or all three of these or even two of these, it's a huge boost.
Yeah, I can imagine. So tell me, speaking of coaches, was has there been such a coach in your life, जिसने आपको, who's really, who's pushed you, who's also inspired you, but who's also really supported you? Uh, is there such a
Yeah.
coach? Has there been in your life?
So I've had two standout coaches actually in my life. One was a coach in England. When I went to study, do my master's, there was a coach who saw in me what I didn't see in myself. I'm always an underconfident person. मुझे लगता है कि मुझसे नहीं होएगा. And I think it's the coach's job to deal with different psychology of your player differently. There are some players who enjoy that challenge. Ki, like a coach will be like, put them on the bench and then जब खिलाएंगे तो जोश के साथ खेलेंगे. Now I'm not a player like that. If you put me on the bench, I'll lose my confidence and I'll be like, मुझसे नहीं होगा. And this coach, the coach's ability to recognize that in your player and to give you what you need, I think is so important. And this coach really played to my strength. Said, "You're so far. आप इतने तेज भागते हो. आप use this.
Yeah.
Even if it's one thing. आपकी trapping बड़ी अच्छी है और आपका shot अच्छा है. I may not be a good runner with the ball, but I may have a good shot." And he just encouraged me in what I was good at, without dwelling too much on what I was bad at, because he knew that's going to pull me down.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that coach had a great vision in terms of how to deal with psychology. And of course, in Delhi, it's come full circle. I have had a coach called Paritosh. He was with the railways, and when I first came back to India and played, for India, he was my coach with Delhi, and he was also so encouraging. He was a very young coach that time, so only 14 years, and I think it was his first time coaching a women's team as well, and he was so encouraging and he was so dynamic, and he was a coach who could, there are coaches who are like, अच्छा यहाँ से मार दो ball, अब ऐसे मारो, and they'll just tell you कि ऐसे मारना है. But he was a coach who could show us. He's like, मुझे ball दो, I'll show you what I want.
Yeah.
So to me, that was mind blowing. He was fit. He could show me the correct way visually because he was so good.
You teach by doing. Yeah.
And now, by teaching you, by showing you.
Yeah.
And it's come full circle because now I've come back to Royal Rangers, and because he's coaching at Royal Rangers.
Yeah.
So 14 years later, I've come back to my first real coach, coach who I really enjoyed playing with.
What position do you play, Jyoti, at Royal Rangers, and when you were, when you were in the national teams also, or do you आप अलग अलग positions पे खेलते हो?
You see, when I was 19, so I was very fast. So उन्होंने मुझे striker बना दिया.
Striker बनाया.
Striker बना दिया. Then as soon as I started aging a little bit, I've now moved. So now, so then I moved to wing, so midfield.
Right.
Now I'm playing center midfield because I think with my experience, I'm better at that
Also, you can
role.
feed the ball.
And I feel now I can have better vision now, and I'm not so like a headless chicken just running. So a little more sense, footballing sense. And I think maybe another 2-3 years मैं शायद defense में पहुंच जाऊंगी. And शायद career में end करूंगी goalkeeper में.
But it's, I think it's so important, the जो strikers की तो of course, ज़्यादा चांदनी लगती है in football because, they're in front, they're the star players. But, midfield is such an important position to be able to move between, different Ds across the field. And, जिनको we call playmakers, like the greats, like, Lionel Messi or Sunil Chetri, when we look at them, how they ensure that the right passes are made, at the right time. To, like you were saying,
Yeah.
कि birds view होना चाहिए कि, आप देख सकते हो play कहाँ से कहाँ बन रहा है. So, that's fantastic. I think what I'd like to know from you is, इससे पहले आपने बोला था, that a lot has changed vis-a-vis women's football. What do you think? So, at Sequin, we've also been now, running our grassroots program, Kickstart Equality. We started in 2011. And us time, there were no developmental sports for development formats, which worked on gender, worked with girls. Up now, like you said, there are many, many groups, and we're so happy that there's so many smaller clubs and organizations. So, what has changed? And आपको क्या लगता है, what is the state of women's football, in India? Currently, क्या लगता है? What is the status?
Currently, I think the first big change that I've seen is that the people in top management roles are now changing. We're moving away from a sort of politician Babu type who's leading the sports associations. We have younger people who are much more connected with the sport, who are in roles of making decisions. So that's the biggest thing. Okay. They've played sport themselves, they understand. So that's huge. On top of that, there's much better structure now. So for example, we have now in Delhi, I think like 5 leagues for women. There's a Premier League for seniors, there's a championship, which is 1 tier lower. Then there's a junior league, there's a sub-junior league. So like you can pick and choose and it's not that you have to be in that top, आपको best 60 में होना है तभी आप खेल पाओगे. No, you can be in the next 60 also, because now there are 2 leagues. So there's so many tiers and there's so many opportunities that people can play. Also, there now, I think when I started, there were like 5 clubs in Delhi. Now there's like 12 in the Premiership, 15 in the Championship. There's just so many clubs.
At the youth level, there are even more.
Yeah, at the youth level, there's so many clubs, and it's so good to see because, there's sometimes people come for, say, trials, and even if they don't make it, it's not such a big deal. It's not like they have to go home and tell their parents कि अब इस साल में नहीं खेल पाऊंगी. नहीं, there's so many more clubs that they can go to. So there's so much opportunity to play, and the more you play, the better you get. Like, that's simple logic. आप ज़्यादा खेलोगे, आपको ज़्यादा exposure मिलेगी, आप ज़्यादा better खेलोगे. If you play 1 tournament a year, so you have 1 shot. Imagine 1 shot at displaying your talent. If you're playing 5 tournaments, you have 5 shots. Maybe 1 tournament आपसे अच्छा नहीं हुआ है, 4 में आपसे हो गया अच्छा. So there's much more visibility for a player and much more room for a player to make mistakes, but also showcase what they have. But so like in terms of that, it's huge. And yes, matches are now being streamed online, so that's at least a start. It's some visibility. At least their parents can log into the website or wherever it's coming and watch them. Otherwise, I understand their parents, kids traveling from so far away, being sent by their parents, they're getting on a bus, coming to this training day in, day out, and finally for the tournament, no one can even see them play. Like, it's so sad because you're training so much for this, and you're going home and you're telling your parents, I need to do this, I'm going for training, I'm going to train. But where do they get a chance to see the results of all this training?
And to feel acknowledged, that, someone's rooting for me.
Yeah. Exactly, like your family is watching, your sisters are watching, your brothers are watching.
Yeah.
You get that boost. It's really enormous.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. And I would like to add that there are particularly when I look at women's football, that shayad 10 saal pehle there weren't that many women coaches. There are a lot many more women coaches now. And so that's also really wonderful to see that actual representation. In sporting
Yeah,
associations, I think बहुत लंबा रास्ता है अभी जाने के लिए. But it's a long way off, but it's a start, like you said. So tell me,
yeah, and yeah. Sorry.
so what are some of the things that you think are still lacking? Gaps kya hai? When you look at like when we talk about how do we nurture women's talent for football, uh what's lacking right now? What are some of the big things that you think are lacking currently?
Visibility.
Yeah.
Okay. It shouldn't be so hard to watch a game. It needs to be much easier. So, visibility, number one. Number two, so it's a vicious cycle, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no money in coaching, no one will want to get into coaching, right? If it's going to be your last resort, why would anyone, even if they're getting like uh, a, a so decent salary at a 9 to 5 job in some office somewhere, why would this person who's passionate about football want to gruel it out every day in the sun as a coach where they're getting paid half? Why? So that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Why would people want to get into this field? There must be thousands of good coaches in India, women, or people who have potential to be good coaches, good teachers, players who know the game, who to understand what is missing. But why would they get back in the system when there's no money? Yeah, but there's no money because there's no visibility.
Yeah, it's a
Why would
cycle.
any? Why? It's a vicious cycle. Why would a sponsor pay for a sponsor team? There's no visibility. Their brand is not going to be seen anywhere. So I don't know what comes first. It's like the chicken or the egg. Like,
Yeah.
but both need something. And if this Women's World Cup is not shown that people want to watch, then I don't know what is going to change that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
But definitely I think I agree with so much that you're saying. And it's a reality. Like, I'm sure many of our coaches are here, they're smiling because this has been their challenge, that आप coach ho, you coach in multiple, maybe you play with clubs, you also coach in multiple places, लेकिन जो एक पे गैप है मेल कोचेस के कंपैरिजन में, आपकी तनख्वाह उतनी है ही नहीं. So even if you're a player, you have to have a side job because you're not making
Yeah.
enough, money as your male counterparts, right? It's really
100%.
challenging, definitely. And I also feel that investment is not enough investment is happening in women's football. And किस तरीके से, like you're saying, visibility, अब कौन decide करता है कि women's world cup or a league is good enough to be shown to advertisers, कौन उसके लिए budgeting करता है, वो decisions कौन से level पे लिए जाती हैं, उस decision making body में कितनी औरतें हैं. That's also a clear one. Our sporting associations don't have enough women.
Yeah. Someone messaged me on Instagram the other day and said, I think, I don't know, they just told me, I think it's shameful that the Indian women's team is not in the World Cup. Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought about it a lot, and I replied to her, saying, she was very upset, and she said, out of a country of 1 billion, how is it that we can't produce 11 really good footballers who can represent us in the World Cup? And I was thinking about it so much, and it's not so easy.
Yeah.
So I tried to explain to her that we may be 1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talent is not the issue here. I am sure this country has the talent. And I'm sure that even if that talent is found, we do a nationwide search and we find the most talented players and we bring them together and we form a team,
Yeah.
they have to be shown that this is a profession.
Yeah.
And this is something that is going to pay for their livelihood. You can't pick football as a career on pure talent. You can be the most talented footballer, but after 2 years, you'll be like, I need to work, I need to earn, I need to eat. So only if you're right now, yes, the change that's happened is our top tier, top 20 players are getting a decent salary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what about the rest? Why would they, if you're like at, say, the 30th best footballer in India, what is the thing that's going to make you stick to it to make it to the 20?
Yeah.
For how long? Right? So there needs to be something that shows people that this is something, if I want to do really well in this, I'm talented, I want to stick to this. And if I stick to this, I'm going to get paid.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is my job. I want to make it a job. Otherwise, you're going to have people who are going to drop out and they're going to go and get a real job. It's
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 100.
Right? So
Tell me about, I think, there's so much to be done going forward. And tell me something. Let's talk about the World Cup, which is happening right now. Tell me what have been the highlights for you in this World Cup, and what have been some of the big moves for you? And what have been the teams that have been really close to you?
So I think the biggest thing, eye opener of this World Cup has been the viewage and the crowd. Like I have never seen these sort of crowds. Yeah, it is Australia. Australia loves sport. Australia में हर कोई ना कोई sport खेलता है and they love sport. But to see the amount of people that are coming out to watch this, the amount of people who are watching online, fan code is, I think, going to crash only, I think, because so many people are logging in to watch, the World Cup. So it's been huge. On top of that, the level of play has been insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally did not expect to see such good football. I watched the last World Cup as well, and I can say, confidently that the level of football has gone up like 5 notches.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so quick. They're so fit. They are so, it's such a physical sport. It's like watching, basically, it's the same as watching men play. There is literally zero difference. So if
Yeah.
anyone ever says again that, it's so different to watch a men's game and so different to watch it, that is untrue. It is completely untrue because then they clearly haven't watched this World Cup. The goals have been outstanding. The play has been outstanding. In fact, the amount of stoppages have been much less than a men's game. Much less because there's less acting of injuries. They're just getting on with it. They just get on with the game. They get fouled, they get up and they start playing. In the men's game, the time delay, every little touch, they're falling down. So if you really want to watch continuous football and free flowing football, the women's game is above the men's game right now.
Yeah.
That has been the biggest eye opener. And if people don't see it, they're blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Absolutely. So tell me, what have been some of the teams that you have been following, so to speak, in the World Cup, what have been, the teams that you've been following and the players that you've kind of watched out for?
So definitely, I really wanted Japan to do well. I think they're such a good unit, and to me, I think because they are an Asian team, and people keep saying, "Oh, Asians lack the physicality in the sport." It
Yeah.
was so. I mean, I really wanted them to do really well to prove that it's not really. I mean, of course, physicality is a huge thing, and they are super fit. But what they make up for, their fitness makes up for what they lack in, say, height. The Swedes are so tall,
Yeah.
and the Japanese are much shorter average height. But that really doesn't matter, as we can see.
Yeah.
Apart from that, England have always been front runners. They're Euro champions. They played really well. They've shown great character in the last game also. Like when Australia equalized with that goal with Sam Kerr scoring yesterday, I reached practice and I was still watching the match on my phone, and then Sam Kerr scored that screamer of a goal,
Yeah.
and then it became 1-1, and then I thought, oh, now England's just going to like lose hope and fizzle out. But then, you know, how they came back 3-1. So a team with great character. Spain, their passing has been, they're playing like Barcelona with Messi and what's his name? I'm forgetting now. Xavi. So they're
Yeah.
playing like that one touch, tiki-taka sort of football. It's so lovely to watch. So Spain were amazing. And of course, Australia, the hosts, were, so much heart in that team. Um, it was sad to see them go. I really, really enjoyed watching Fowler play for Australia. I think she's great, as well as of course Sam Kerr. She didn't play as much, but you can see, the talent there in that team. Um, I really enjoyed watching these teams play. I think Italy and the Netherlands were big disappointments. The USA, of course, huge hype and stuff, but they can't always win. And it's good to see new teams coming up as well. So I've enjoyed actually watching newer teams come up and perform.
So tell me, which is the team that you are really rooting for in this World Cup? Was it Spain? Was it England? Was it another favorite, who's not made it to the finals?
Um, so I was torn. So I think the English team is the most familiar because they all play in the English Premier League, and I think we've been watching quite a lot of them play. I've been watching some of the women's FA Cup and Premier League matches as well. So they are the most familiar team. Same goes with the USA, but I wanted Japan to win.
Yeah.
Just for an Asian connection, I think, and I think they're just such a good team. Like they played so well, and they were just a bit unlucky in that game, like missing the penalty, hitting the bar, and but I think they really deserve to
Yeah.
go all the way. Yeah. So also,
Yeah.
1 minute, I have to mention this: the Nigerian team
Yeah.
who
Absolutely.
got there with a crowdfunding, like that was unbelievable, because I've done that before for a club, and we had to go to the IWL and we did a crowdfunding and we got to the IWL. Like, I think that's just so amazing that a national team had to do that and they still got there and they did so well.
Yeah.
So, like, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's so many teams, like there was Ireland, and when I saw that, when that corner kick goal, that happened that in the Irish match, right before they were knocked out of the team. I mean, it was just fantastic. Or, Colombian's youngest player, how so many of them, so what I really love about the World Cup in that sense is that uh, there have been so many players, who have kind of within the same year they've played, under 17, they've played under 19, and now they're at the World Cup, and there's so many players who are in the World Cup right now and across teams and countries, who started their journey from the youth leagues, from the clubs and from the academy, playing in their neighborhood, and very fast within a couple of years, now they've come into the national team, and it's such a big deal. And
Yeah.
I think it's so good, uh it's so good for our girls, all the girls, all the coaches who play with us, to know that it is possible, it is possible to reach
Yeah,
that scale, and it's not going to,
definitely.
it's not like ki hamesha hazar saal lagenge, you can get there, in that sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the more the more you will improve. And that is like that's the deal with anything.
Yeah.
It's like the more you eat, the fatter you'll get, right? So the more you play, the
Yeah.
more you get used to that ball at your feet, and the better you'll be. So the more chances you get to train, the more chances you get to play matches, the better we will be. And I've seen it so much. Like Mala would know. Like sometimes we have times when, there's a gap. We go for senior national. Uske baad फिर 3-4 months nothing, right? And then we lose touch with the ball. Of course, we play on our own, but
Yeah.
we lose touch. And then we think back to we were so good during camp. उस टाइम इतना अच्छा फिटनेस चल रहा था, इतना अच्छा बॉल कंट्रोल चल रहा था, और अब 4 महीने बाद वो नहीं रहा. You have to build from scratch again. So continuity is so important. These players who've been playing, they play a league with a country, then
Yeah.
they play, say, under 17. It's continuous playing.
Yeah.
Of course, they're getting rest and
That's
recovery.
great. Yeah, fantastic. And I wanted to ask you that have there been any such moves, or any such plays in the World Cup which have been really exciting for you?
Let me think now. That goal yesterday, day before. Was it yesterday or day before? Oh my God. I mean, I was watching it, and in my head I was thinking, ये नहीं होने वाला, because she had no support. So she started running from half line, and I was saying out loud, like, नहीं होने वाला, नहीं होने वाला. And then she reached the top of the D and she got ready to kick. And I was like, अबे यहाँ से क्यों मार रहे हो? इतनी दूर से मार रहे हो? And she literally scored from there. So it was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
That goal was exceptional. I think the penalty shootouts have been standout.
Yeah.
That penalty shootout went to like 10 shots each. Was insane again. And there've been a couple of penalty shootouts in the quarters as well.
Yeah.
So watching those were also great. The Spanish player who always comes on as a substitute. What's her name? Is it Elma or Selma?
Selma.
She always comes on, Selma. So she comes on as a substitute, and she should be a 400-meter runner.
Yeah.
And now she's moved to like football. So she's so quick, and she literally gets 20 minutes to play every match. And in those 20 minutes, she literally changes the game completely. She scored in 2 consecutive matches now. So, and she's literally, they don't know how to mark her because she's so fast.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to watch Spain with their tiki-taka play England, who again like the long ball and they like a very physical game.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting for
like
us.
the English men's team, like I think the English England team, when I look at their play, it reminds me of, England when, Wayne Rooney and the rest of them, and how they play really, a really kind of, it's like a contact sport, बहुत passing there. It's kind of rough. Tell me, what do you mean by, tiki-taka?
So tiki-taka is basically a style of play that was made famous by the Barcelona side, which is basically one touch. So you don't hold the ball long. So how coaches explain it is, think of the ball as like a burning, it's on fire. You cannot touch it much. Your foot will burn. So just, it comes to you, let go. Comes to you, let go. And the passing in little triangles they make, which is amazing to watch. So the ball just moves. The players really don't move as much. So it's not as tiring as, one guy running down the line or like solo runs. Everyone's involved. It's like a little spider's web. And somehow the ball gets to, a shooting
the formation zone. Moving ahead, they keep moving ahead. Yeah.
They keep moving. And it's so beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like a dance. Yeah.
It's really like a dance. And it's so hard to mark because the team who's playing against them also, who are you going to catch? The ball literally doesn't stay at their feet for more than 2 seconds. So the minute you try and go in to win the ball nikal gaya. So it's very, very hard to mark something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So, are you rooting for Spain? Are you rooting for England? What's your prediction for Sunday?
I can't predict it. I really can't call it because it's so close.
Yeah.
I want England to win. I'll tell you why. Because they have a female coach. And that is my only
reason
that I want England to win. Watching wise, I prefer watching Spain play.
It's that
just
format of
visually.
football. Yeah, yeah.
That format of they're so lovely to watch. But I think England might win it, and I'll be really happy if they win it, because then I feel like that's just gonna boost like women's coaches
Yeah,
in women's football. If we can, it's just the biggest proof that we don't need a man to come and coach a women's team.
yeah,
A woman can do the job if she's good
absolutely.
enough. That's it. It's just a man. It's a person at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be a man or woman. It's the coach, and
Yeah,
it's how the coach thinks,
yeah.
right? So this whole concept of "Arey insinuega"
Hmm.
gone out of the window already. She's reached the finals. I mean, that's already out of the window. So that should be out of the window. To watch her with this team win it would be, I want like mouths to be zipped after this.
Yeah, I mean,
About,
just all the myths that
yeah,
women can't do sports,
yeah,
women can do sports, but that women can't coach. I mean, it's absolute rubbish, and I think it's so important for examples like these to prove them wrong, right? Because when I also look at Indian sporting agencies, there are very few women referees. There are hardly any. I don't know how many women referees there are, and if they are there, I don't see their picture. I don't see their story being told, on different platforms.
mm-hmm.
So maybe, who knows, maybe, our own sporting associations are taking some notes, from what's happening in the Women's World Cup. And I hope they're taking some good lessons, on tried
Yeah.
and tested practices, what's working,
Refereeing has also been amazing. The refereeing has really been really good. And there's no arguing, there's no like, it's just the game is played as it's meant to be played this year, as I've seen in the World Cup.
Yeah.
The referee is on point, there's no arguing, there's no acting, play is amazing. There's
Yeah.
literally, I cannot fault this World Cup at all. It's
Yeah.
been too good.
It's been too good. Tell me, it is the World
Hmm.
Cup. It's the, women's FIFA World Cup. It's a huge big deal. Apart from the fact that, look, it's this huge international global sporting event. Do you think this time, with the way that the players have been talking about how they've almost run it like a campaign, because, maybe that's what it will take for women to get that recognition that, hey, man, we are also sports persons, we deserve to be watched, we deserve that you invest in us and spend money on us. What does the World Cup stand for you in a larger sense, with so many players talking about ending gender-based violence? They're giving interviews all the time talking about the gender pay gap. They're kind of, talking about how little girls need role models. More and more of us need to become role models. So what do you think the World Cup kind of stands for you in that sense?
I've seen this World Cup as um, the women have finally got a little platform to stand on, right? And from this platform, they are shouting their lungs out about everything that needs to be spoken about.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if this World Cup had not happened, it didn't get the buzz, they're in a crowd and no one's going to hear them. That voice is not going to come out. But this World Cup has put them up, okay, for a short period of time, and they're making the most of it. They're bringing up every issue they can. They're talking about everything that needs to be spoken about. And kudos to the players for not holding back at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not holding back at all. In fact, the Spanish team has spoken out about their own coach.
Yeah.
Right? So they're really not scared of anything. They just want to put it out there, and they want the world to know what they are feeling, what they need, what is going on. And they want the world to see that despite all this, they are amazing.
They're amazing.
Despite
all this. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you imagine if they had all this, where they would be? And
Yeah.
I mean, this is what a World Cup is meant to be. It's a platform. It is the biggest platform in the world, and they've used it to the max.
Yeah. Me to all the young women across the world, and including some of the girls who are still with us in the group. And like we have about a cohort of almost 200 plus girls in Delhi alone apart from Rajasthan and Haryana, who kind of regularly play in small public parks, and now we have a cohort who are regularly going for building them up to go for trials, play for clubs, play small level leagues to be able to come to the levels that you've come to. What's your message for budding players, Jyoti? What do you really want to tell them?
I want to tell them that I mean, it's not an easy journey. What they've decided to do is not easy. Okay, so if they ever think that this is going to be, a bed of roses, that's not going to be the case. So they really have to push through, and they may not get what they want in their lifetime, but it is our duty as players today to make it better for the players of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if we don't do that, we keep dropping out of playing the sport because it's too hard or because there's so many challenges, then there's never going to be a chance for people 3 generations down the line.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, my vision is that something I do today in my life might make my, I don't know, like grand niece and be able to play better. Or somebody's grandchild will play better football, or there will be some improvement.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to be a little unselfish, and we need to continue to play, and we need to fight against all the odds, and coaches need to coach, women need to get into this, being a little unselfish right now.
Yeah.
Because if you're selfish, we'll drop out because it's hard, right? So if we think about the future and what we are doing in the long run, then only will we have the courage and the grit to continue and make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And for younger players who are getting into it now, they must know that they're getting it slightly better. They're getting it slightly better. And it will only get better. So they may have younger siblings who are right now maybe 5, 6, and it will be better for them.